Well, good morning, everybody. Delighted to be with you and have another opportunity to share with you some tried and tested and proven ideas. But before we get started in a couple of moments, let's get going in the chat box. Why don't we do this? Why don't you tell me whereabouts in the world you are joining from, and we'll see. Because there are nearly 300 people who've registered for this. I know very often with masterclasses, webinars and seminars, people register, don't always turn up. After all, as Woody Allen once said, 80% of success is turning up. But just to get us going in the chat box, why don't we have a quick look about where we are, as lots more people are joining in as we get going. And as Rachel's just mentioned there, and I'll bring these on screen, we are now live on Facebook, LinkedIn and YouTube. I don't know what's happened with one of the other ones. See Ben's there. Good morning, Ben, in sunny Runcorn. Hopefully sunny at the moment. And Will Kintish, long time no see, good friend of mine. Hi, Will, lovely to see you there as well. And Giordana is from Fareham. Who else have we got here? Oh, and Paul. Good morning, Paul. I'd like that flyer that you sent me. Thought that was great. Good morning, Howard. I see, and James Robertson from Surbiton, and Howard from Dungarvan in there, and Rachel's obviously in Nurha at the moment. And Sue Terry, good morning, Sue, from sunny Hungerford, and Brian from Richmond, Sabana from London, and Kate from Warrington. Good morning, Kate. Well, we're nearly there on time. Where are we time-wise? We're pretty darn close, aren't we? Yes, 9:29. So we'll get going right on time. And I've got so many ideas that I want to share with you. What else have we got going on here? And Rupert from Ickenham, or Ickenham, which will be very good. And lots more people joining in. Here we go then. Well, let us get going. Delighted to be with you. Let me just move these things that are in front of my screen here, so I don't want to have a look at that one while we're going. Delighted to be with you. Have this opportunity to share with you some really great tried and tested and proven ideas, all about persuasion in practice. So what's that benefit that it's going to give us if we are more persuasive? Well, I think about it in this way. All communication is an attempt to persuade someone else to do or avoid doing something now or in the future. Somebody said that to me years ago, and I believe it. All communication is an attempt to get someone else to do or avoid doing something now or in the future. So that applies to every single area of our lives, whether negotiating with somebody who's going to do something for us, or we're talking to a client, or we're doing marketing, we're doing emails, we're doing webinars, we're doing masterclass, whatever it is. All of our life is based on persuasion, either persuading someone to buy or buy into what it is that we do. So that's what we're going to be talking about. And that links into when we are more persuasive, we get more clients. And when we get more clients, we are able to help more people. And when we help more people, we make more money. After all, the outcome they get is a direct reflection to the income that we get. So the more outcome we deliver to people, the more income comes into us. Isn't that a wonderful state of affairs? So get us started in a little bit of background for me, really brief background. I'll tell you what we're going to be covering and tell you how we go on this journey continued later on. So first things first, I saw this quote years ago and I thought, what a great way this is. David Ogilvy, only first class business, and that in a first class way. What a wonderful way for us to be in business is to do that. By the way, if you have any questions at all, just put comment in the chat box to Rachel, my PA, and I'm going to show you a picture of Rachel in a moment or two. But if you give Rachel the question, then she'll make sure that I get to them. And if I don't cover them during the course of the masterclass, I am going to stay at the end and answer all of the questions that came in and our one question survey as well. So moving on from there, background, started in business, wow, 50 odd years ago. I think it's 52 or something like years ago. And one of the major businesses I built up was this, Compass Leasing PLC. I'm going to tell you how that came about. I mean, you can tell how long ago that is. If you look at the phone number, there's a 1 missing in the 0121. That was in the days when it's still 021. And in there is Rachel, because Rachel and I have been working together now for 38 years. There she is in that little circle, doesn't look a day older. And I learned all the way back then a real secret, and it's this. The secret of success is learning from other people. How did I know that? Well, I've always been a lifelong learner, just like you, otherwise you wouldn't be here today. Been a lifelong learner. And back in 1985, I had a piece of direct mail come through the door from Nightingale Conant. And a lot of people here today will know Nightingale Conant. And it was for this audio program, Lead the Field by Earl Nightingale. There he is there, the father of personal development, as far as I'm concerned. And I learnt so much from this that I was able to sell that business, Compass Leasing, just 5 years later for over £4 million. Thank you, Earl, for all the lessons that you taught me. And the reason that I sent for it was But Nightingale Conant sent this direct mail and said, you can have this program for 30 days and you don't have to pay for it until the end of the 30 days. And if you don't like it, send it back. There was absolutely no risk. And I thought to myself, Peter, you'd be darn stupid not to take up that offer. So being as I don't like to be darn stupid, I took up the offer, and that's the result that we got. We then sold that business and I got into the learning business because I sat down one day and said, what do I love to do? That's a great question to ask ourselves, isn't it? What do I love to do? You might phrase it disassociated by saying, what do you love to do? But another conversation for another day. And I thought, well, I love sharing my ideas, and you probably gather already, I love speaking and sharing things and talking to people. And so I went to Nightingale Conant and I made a program. Oh, by the way, these are all my programs here. These are my books and various audio programs. And I made this program, which is called Action is the Key. And this is going to bring some memories for you. Do you remember these things? Cassettes, wowee, cassettes. There were 30 cassettes in this particular program. And I went to Nightingale Conant with it and I said, will you publish this for me? And they said, well, we like it, but we're not really into salesy type stuff at that stage. Would you revoice this fantastic program that started the journey, Lead the Field? And I said, yes, of course I would. So I revoiced it for the UK market. And here's the smooth one. You can see the different covers. There's the wrinkly one. That wasn't me. And there's the smooth one. That was me. So there I am on the back, a lot younger, more hair. There's Earl Nightingale. And this was started me making audio programs, writing books, and all the rest of it. So that was the start of the journey. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to share all these various ideas in a number of different ways. I'm going to give you my best shot today in the time that we've got about what I know about persuasion. Here's something I need to tell you, though, right at the start. I don't have all the answers. I am fascinated. Like you, I'm a lifelong learner. I keep on learning. I keep on joining. I keep on reading books and listening to podcasts and audio and turning up for things like this. Because I know this is true. The day I stop learning is the day I stop earning. The world is moving so quickly, we need to keep on learning more. So I'm going to tell you the areas we're going to learn about. So I'm going to give you my best shot. And then I'm going to tell you about something that I am involved in, which we started a few years ago with my colleagues, Daryl and Rachel. And that is the Paid Up Club. And I'm going to give you some details about that. And I'd like to make this deal with you. If I give you my best shot on what I know about persuasion, will you give me your best shot to at least listen to what I want to say about the Paid Up Club? It's going to be a short idea. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, and give what I'm going to make as the offer your serious consideration. Would that be a fair trade? I think it is. So if you think that's fair, in the chat box, let's get going in the chat box together. Just give me a capitalized yes in the chat box while I have a swig of my tea and we'll get on going. Have a look at the chat box here. Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much indeed. That's fantastic. So what we're going to be talking about is this. Firstly, that's one of my great favorite quotes. I think it's just fantastic. I just love this quote. Let me bring it up for you. And I'm going to read it from my slides over here. The fight is won or lost, far away from the witnesses, behind the lines in the gym, and out there on the road, long before I dance under those lights. Isn't that? Oh, it sends shivers up the back of my neck, that does. I think it's just a fantastic. Lovely, lovely quote from Muhammad Ali. So here's the thought for us. What is the real difference between those who are succeeding in the business in which you and I are involved? And I call that overarching thing would be, we're in the helping industry. We help different people in different ways, but that's basically what we do. We help people to get an outcome so that we get an income. We either solve their problems, let me come back to me for a moment, we either solve their problems or we capitalize on opportunities for them. And that's what we do in our business lives. So the question comes then, what's the real difference between those who are succeeding and those who are struggling month to month? I know the answer to that question. I really do. I know the answer to that question. It's this. Those who are able to persuade with integrity, which means they can do marketing, they can do that terrible word selling. Although here's my take on it. We learn how to sell and we stop selling and allow people to buy. That's a whole different way of being in business. That's what David Ogilvy was saying there, only first-class business and that in a first-class way. But the difference is they are able to persuade people with integrity. And why is that true? Because as I've been doing this industry, what I've been doing for the last 30 years, I've dealt with a lot of people. And I've realized that it's not the quality of the service they provide. It's not the quality of the ideas they provide. It's not how good they are at doing the doing of their business. No, It's how good they are at persuading people to become their clients or their patients or customers, depending on which word you use. I prefer clients to customers. I think there's an implied duty of care. So I think that's the difference. That's why I want to share these ideas with you today, so that we can get rightfully and regularly rewarded for the value we deliver and the cascading impact we make in the world, because we do make a cascading impact. If you help somebody get, figure out the £100,000 extra, that doesn't just change their life. It changes probably their family's life. It changes the community's life because they pay the taxes, hopefully. It changes the local area, everybody they buy from. It changes there. It changes the holiday companies they deal with and the car companies they buy from and everything else. It changes their children's life. There is a cascading impact by what it is that we do. That's why I solidly believe we have to be rightfully, regularly, and royally rewarded for the difference that we make. So there's three areas that we're going to be talking about today. And let me just look at my notes here. And it's going to be these things here. It's going to be credibility. We're going to talk about that because this is part of this persuasion process. We're going to talk about how to write well-crafted questions. I'm going to give you a particular formula for that, which is my personal formulas, all of these. And we talk about how do we smoothly get agreement, because all of these things are so important. Oh, and by the way, right at the end of today, we're going to do a prize draw. I've got a thing on my phone, which is a random letter generator. And I'm going to show it in front of you, and I'm going to press the button. It'll generate a random letter. And if your name begins with that letter and you're the first to put your name in the chat box, you win. So what are you going to win? Well, this time we're going to be different. I mean, you're going to win a copy of my time management formula course and a copy of my latest book, which is called Time Management is Dead, which actually went to #1 in its category. I have to add that bit in its category on Amazon on its first couple of days that we published it just a few weeks ago. So on that basis, that's going to be the prize draw. However, you've got to be here to win it, because obviously you've got to be able to respond in the chat box. So you've got to be in it to win it, like most things in life. So let's move on from there and talk about credibility. And I love this idea about credibility. And I wrote something down about credibility. And if I can find it, yes, I can. And I'll read it from my notes. The non-negotiable foundation of persuasion is credibility, in my opinion. When you get this right, your credibility is unquestioned, trust is automatic, and decisions come so much easier. And we know this to be true, don't we? So here's an expression we've all heard. Now, here's a thought for you. I can say we all because you know there are other people on this call. You can't say you all if you're recording a video, because people are not normally gathering together to watch your videos. You can't say you all or many of you or some of you when you're writing in your emails or your web page. Please do not make this classic mistake of writing to a crowd when you should be writing to one person. So I can say it because we know we're all here. So we all, or I could rephrase that and say, you know, but you have to be heard to be believed. That's logical. It's true, isn't it? But I think this is so much more important. You have to be believed to be heard. Earl Nightingale said it beautifully on this wonderful program here, Lead the Field. He said this: who you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. Who you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. I mean, isn't that just fantastic and so relevant for everything that we're doing? And it's so relevant to being more persuasive. Credibility is one of the foundations of that. And as von Clausewitz said, success is created from a firm base. It was a slight retake on what he said, but you've got the idea of it. So here's some thoughts. This is the neuroscience of trust. I'm not going to go into the big words because we don't need to. What happens is this, is when the source is perceived as credible, it activates reward processing. What does that mean? Well, it makes us believe, and it makes us feel good about that belief, and we believe more easily. I'm going to give you some key thoughts on this as well. However, there's a second part to this, is that with a non-credible source, when we perceive the source of the ideas, the information, the learning to be non-credible, then it triggers error monitoring. And what does that mean? It means that we're listening out for the mistakes. Instead of listening out for the confirmation bias, what we believe, oh, that's good, I believe, yes, let's go on with it. It triggers us to think, hang on a minute. And we probably do this. We cross our arms, we lean back, and the little red bit in the corner of your eye, which is called the caruncle, spelled car-uncle, disappears, which is a classic yet little known secret to when somebody disagrees with what you say. And it's created by the movement of the lower eyelid towards the nose and up. And here's the look. Did you see that happen? And my lower eyelids move towards my nose and up, and the little red bit in the corner of my eye disappears. It's that. Now, you don't say to somebody, your caruncle's disappeared, because they won't know what you're talking about, but at least you'll know and you'll be able to change your message. So what science tells us is this. Let's have a look at this here. What science tells us, it tells us that credible sources are processed with less cognitive effort. Isn't that wonderful? When we're credible and we're talking to people, it's easier, it takes less effort for them to listen to us, bring in that information from us. What a wonderful thing that is. Secondly, it's more likely to be recalled. Remember, as scientists say to us, hopefully they're right, everybody has perfect memory. What they don't have is perfect recall in the moment in which they want it. But years ago, 1926, Professor Alexander Luria discovered this guy called Solomon Shereshevsky, known as S, as you can understand with a name like that, had perfect recall. His mind was bombarded all the time with information. He ended up doing tricks of memory. And the one thing he couldn't remember well was people's faces. Why? Because they change. Isn't that interesting stuff? Yeah, Professor Alexander Luria. So more likely to be recalled. The next bit, easier to understand and accept. Wow, this is ticking all the boxes for us when we want to be persuasive, isn't it? Ticking all of the boxes. And we're more influential in decision making. That's what it does. Now, here's a little thought for you. You may have heard of, I'm sure you probably have if you're in this industry, which I know you are, Professor Robert Cialdini. Influence, Science and Practice, the book, and Persuasion. I've read all of his books. I've actually met him and interviewed him when he was in London some years ago. And in his books, he talks about this idea. When a defendant appears in the dock in a trial, when the jury looks at the defendant, they almost instantly make a decision as to whether or not that person is guilty or innocent. And then this is what happens. They listen out in the presented evidence and information for that which confirms their first opinion was right. Is that confirmation bias or what? So I look at that person in the dock and go, yeah, he's guilty. And then I'm listening out to find out that I was right. So I am doing what happens with language, and this is an NLP knowledge, is incoming information we distort, generalize, or delete. On another day, when we're going into more detail, I'll play you a video on this that shows you why this absolutely works. We delete, distort, and generalize incoming information. So that's what we do. We distort the information coming in to confirm our suspicion was right. Now, when we're talking about persuasion, let's imagine we're talking to a client and you start a meeting with the client like this. You go, this is one of my many books. It only came out a couple of years ago. Paid. I'm really proud of this book. So I'm having a meeting with a client and I say to the client at the beginning, oh, I bought you a copy of my latest book. And I give it to them and they take it and they look at the back and, oh, there's a picture of me. And oh, there's some information about me and some benefits about the stuff that I know. And then, because I'm confident, in a very gentle voice, I lean forward and say, would you like me to sign it? Do you think that establishes my credibility? Answer, tick, yes. So if it establishes my credibility, and I just go back to this slide, let me go back here a moment, then the information I then provide is processed with less cognitive effort, more likely to be recalled, easier to understand, accept, and more influential in decision making. Bingo, big tick in the box. This is why we have to be an author. By the way, if you think of the word authority, which is linked to credibility, obviously, the first 6 letters of the word authority are AUTHOR. No surprise, really, is it, that it's author. Anyway, let me get on. So, next bit, let's talk about the 5 pillars of believability. I'm going to go through these at a reasonable pace. You gather I speak reasonably quickly because I know you can understand it at this pace. So when we master these, trust and influence in every conversation, right? And this is in print, in person, and even online. In print, in person, and even online. What do I mean online? I mean through the lens. In print, in person, or even on Zoom, or hopefully not on Teams or Google Meets, which are so clunky. Anyway, moving on from there, get off that horse, Peter. Credibility, there's the 5 pillars. Credibility, which is your expertise and competence. And it asks and answers this question. Can you actually do it? This is the question we ask ourselves. We will be credible if we can answer that question with a yes, a resounding yes. Do you have the expertise? Do you have the competence? Can you actually do what you say you'll do? Yes. And you can see the other comments I put at the bottom of that slide. Next one, trustworthiness, which is integrity and benevolence. And this is a different question. It says, will you do what you say you will do? Marks out of 10. Will you do what you say you do? Will you live up to that promise? And why not? Next, authenticity and alignment. What does that mean? It means this: do your words match your actions? These are the pillars of credibility and, well, of believability. So you can see consistency in behavior, Jen. You can read the stuff at the bottom of the slide. I don't need to go through that for you. And next, authority. Back again, author ITY. That's what I call authority. Author ITY. And as Cialdini said, there are certain factors in authority, and they're these: title, trappings, and clothing. Now, if that's not a trapping, a book, I don't know what is. What a wonderful way to establish your credibility, your authority, and itself. And what's the question? Why should I listen to you? Why should I listen to you? Well, because you're the authority, of course. And this is really important, of course, with human communication, is warmth and rapport. Warmth and rapport. You've heard it before: know, like, and trust. People tend to buy from people they know, like, and trust. There's various other things as well, but we know for today, as we've only got this 1 hour together, and the question there is, do I connect with you? Does this make sense? Do I connect with you? Do I like you? It's so important. People say yes more easily to people they like, which is why we have to make sure that we don't abuse that likability factor. So here's the credibility timeline. It's before. So how do we build our reputation before we even have the meeting with someone? How do we become persuasive before we even meet with them? Well, our reputation, as you can see on the slide, is built through online presence, recommendations, introductions, all of those different things. So online presence means putting information out into the marketplace. I run this thing called TGI Mondays. I think I'm on number 1180 something or other, which means I've been putting information out every Monday. That's why it's called TGI Mondays. Thank goodness it's Monday, for 21 years. 21 years of weeks in a row, putting information out there in the marketplace. Does it work? Oh, yes. You can put information out every week. Right? You can put it out every day. Some people put it out every day, but you can put it out every month. But I would suggest every week. And it doesn't need to be massive. It hasn't got to be your magnum opus every week. It just needs to be good quality information, straight to the point of what it is that people want to know to solve a problem or capitalize on an opportunity within the context of what it is that you do. Can you put a book out in the marketplace? Yes, with the cost of books these days and print on demand, you can put books out in your marketing. A wonderful piece of book marketing. Let me ask you this question. Have you ever thrown a physical book in the bin? Not often, I would think. Most people tell me no, they haven't. So if you send somebody a physical copy of your book in a beautiful jiffy bag that's coloured and maybe even printed up with a message, are they going to keep it? Yep. Are they going to show it to other people? Yep. Is it going to be on their shelf? Yep. So when the day comes when they think, oh, who was that guy? Who's that woman I was talking? Oh, yeah. Give them a call. Your book is your silent salesperson, marching out there without holidays, pay, or car, or insurance, working every day, 24. Isn't this? Okay. Oh, don't go too far with that, Peter. Okay, next bit. During timeline, because we've done before, during, and we're going to do after, obviously, is a real-time demonstration of those 5 pillars. And I've given you those 5 questions so you can be sure that you're being the best you can be on that. And of course, afterwards is follow through with consistency, because that reinforces trust. So the whole idea is that credibility is built across the entire relationship, not just in the meeting itself. It's every single thing we do that makes a difference. And when it comes to credibility, please make a note of this idea. Have a swig of my tea first. It's what you say before you say what you mean to say that makes the difference. And it's what you do before you do what you mean to do that makes the difference. So if you put the two together, it's what you say and do before you say and do what you really mean to say and do that really makes the difference. I have rehearsed that and practiced that so much. But you've got the idea, haven't you? It's always what you do first that creates a frame around what you do second. I'll say that again. Really important. It's what you say and do first that creates a frame about around what you say and do second and subsequently. So important. So let's move on to part two. And part two is this. We're going to talk about questions. Now, in my notes, I think I've got something I wanted to say about questions. Yes. So I wrote this: the quiet force behind every effective conversation. We ask with intention, we listen with curiosity, and then the answers reveal opportunity. Let me say that again for you. The quiet force behind every effective conversation. We ask with intention. We don't just ask questions out of the blue that we haven't thought about. The secret is, and I'll show you again in a minute, listen with curiosity, and the answers then reveal opportunity. And the reason that this is so important is that most people unwittingly misunderstand what happens in persuasive conversation. And they believe they have to spend so much time presenting. No, in selling, we don't sell, do we? We learn how to sell. Of course we have to. We understand the persuasion process. We're here today doing that. Then we learn how to sell, we stop selling, and we allow people to buy. It's such a different way of being in business. And it's all about questions. And if we think of a process for persuasion, it's this: open, got a good opening, gather, find out information. What does the client want? Present, adjust, understanding, conclude, that's closing, and follow, making sure we live up to the promise. Open, gather, present, adjust, conclude, and follow. Open, gather, present, adjust, include, and follow. Notice it's open, gather, present, not open, present, gather. We don't want to be presenting before we're gathering. As Tony Alessandro said when I interviewed him years ago, prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. You can't prescribe a solution until we find out what the possible problems are. I couldn't walk into the doctor says, hi, take these tablets. You go, you don't know what's wrong. But some people do that. And they talk to a client and then say, let me tell you about me and what I've got. No. Open, great opening, gathering, very, very important. So this is why questions. So let me reaffirm the difference between those who are succeeding and those who aren't is the people who are succeeding know how to persuade with integrity. And persuading with integrity is asking questions and finding out how we can help people before we even dream of telling them how we can help them. So here's the solution. I've said it a few times. Let's reinforce it. Learn how to sell. Stop selling. Allow people to buy from you. You are the final arbiter in the decision as to whether or not somebody buys, not them. You have to live in a little village just south of arrogant, which means, and you gather I'm joking with this, north of confident, but not cocky. North of confident, but south of arrogant. That's where we want to be based in order to be very persuasive. Why? Because then it's credible, isn't it? So here's the idea with this is what we have not to do is stop trying to convince people. A person convinced against their will is of the same opinion still. Don't try and convince anybody. Oh, terrible place to be. Terrible. Do this instead. Be convincing. How can you be convincing? Well, write a book. That'll be convincing. Back to what we were just talking a moment ago with all that credibility. And why is this so true? And why is it true? And it absolutely is true. It's because the selling takes place in the gathering stage. Remember what I said with the stages? Open, gather, present, adjust, conclude, and follow. The selling takes place in the gathering stage as people sell themselves in their answers to your well-crafted questions. Wow, fantastic. Here's that quote from Tony Alessandro. Prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. Prescription before diagnosis is malpractice. And what about the timing of all of this? You've got your great opening. If you were with somebody for an hour, and that was the hour's time, you've got the little opening here. And then how long is the gathering? This much. It's all about the gathering because the selling, the buying takes place in the gathering stage. The presenting it's a confirmation part of the thing. It's not let me death by PowerPoint. Not at all. It's gather. And I'll show you more about the question. Now I'm going to share with you, right, I don't often share these types of things, how I actually create these questions. So this is what I do. I create well-crafted questions because this is the skill to it, is understanding this. So obviously I can't do it all today, but I'm going to give you some real good takeaways. Oops, no, I'll have to go back there. Right. So here's the thought and the process when we're asking questions. We ask, we listen, we respond, and we ask again. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't do that. They miss out the beginning with R, and they go, ask, listen, They don't respond. And it becomes like a staccato survey or interrogation. So tell me, how do you do this? Oh, great. Okay. How do you do that? Yeah. How do you do that? What about this? What about? No. Ask, listen, respond. right? And we listen doing this. We listen using rapid repeat. Let me tell you what rapid repeat is. This is the most amazing listening skill. I was taught this by Dan Lee Dimke in America. He's based in Texas, had a business called FutureWork, probably still does. And all you simply do when you're listening to somebody is you talk along with them, not out loud, in your mind, saying the exact words they say a fraction of a second after they've said it. So it would sound like that. Almost as if it was a slight echo. So that's all you do. I can't do it all day, although I am doing it all day, but I'm just doing it silently. So that's what you do, and it holds your mind with absolute concentration on what it is they're saying. And what I find then is I'm able to repeat back to them exactly what they said. In other words, I can paraphrase instead of paraphrase what they say. And what a great way of paying respect to somebody is to repeat what they've said back to them. This is also the way you remember and recall people's names. We remembered them anyway, just recalling them. So that's rapid repeat. Be careful though, because once you start using it, you might start to stare at people as your mind is concentrating on what they're saying. And also, whatever you do when you're rapidly repeating, don't move your lips just because they're moving theirs. If you're talking inside your head, don't start doing this when they're talking, because boy, will they think you've gone crazy. Here's a little expression when somebody's told you something. It's just 3 words, and yet it's so massive rapport building. It's this. Tell me more. You ask a question because you're interested. You're not trying to be interesting. You're trying to be interested. That's the classic expression is, don't spend so much time being interesting, spend more time being interested. And you ask a question, great question, and then somebody tells you the answer and you go, fantastic, tell me more. Tell me more. I like it. Okay, so here's the solution. And I'm going to show you how to write the questions, by the way, in just a sec. Something just popped up on my computer. Let me see if I can just get rid of it. Yeah, I probably can there. Good. Yes. Okay. Good. So deal with people as though they have said yes, not as though they will say yes. What do I mean by that? Well, just imagine this. You're going in to see a new client and you walk in and almost before you've given them the copy of your book, the client says, hang on a second, I just want to tell you something. I've looked you up on LinkedIn. I've done some research. I've spoken to some of your clients. I've looked at what you do for people. And I have to say, I'm mightily impressed. And unless you make a complete rick of this when we're having a conversation, I'm going to say yes at the end to whatever it is you're going to propose. So let's have a conversation on that basis. And you go, wow, let's do more of these. That's how you treat people. You treat people as though they've already said yes, as though they're already a client. You share your good stuff with them because they're still going to need you to help implement the ideas. Don't hold back. Don't have a lack mentality. Have that abundance mentality. Treat people as though they've already said yes. Deal with them. Tell them great stuff. Help them. Because then they're going to go, wow, if you're telling me this for free, I wonder what you've got in the rest of the box over there that you haven't shared with me yet. I bet that's good stuff as well. Unfortunately, so many people, and I've had this conversation with people, say, well, no, I can't put my good stuff out there, because people will take it away and use it. What? Stupid? Of course you put the good stuff out there. Otherwise, if you put your rubbish stuff out there, people will go, they're rubbish, they are. It's counterintuitive, isn't it? So that's how we deal with it. We deal with people as though they have said yes, not as though they will say yes. Let me show you this. This is how to ask calibrated questions that expose the real problem. You'll love this. I know you will. Here we go. Right. So what is a calibrated question? Please make notes. It's this. It's firstly purposeful. So a calibrated question. Remember, the selling takes place in the gathering stage. Gathering means you're asking questions and people are telling you stuff and you're commenting on it and then you're asking another one. So the calibrated question is it's purposeful. It has a clear reason. And that reason is you either want to diagnose something, you want to prioritize something, you want to get all the stuff in order so you know which bits to talk about, or you want to confirm a piece of information you thought was right. Excuse me a second. Take a swig of my tea. Good. Second point, it's precise. It asks about a specific outcome, as you can see on the slide there, or a time frame or an example. So lots of specificity. Let's make sure that it is precise. Oh, this is important. It's low friction because it's easy to ask and it's easy to answer honestly. For them to answer honestly. No point gathering information that doesn't do it. There's a nice little comment from Amber. I think I'm just going to bring that on screen. Isn't it great I can bring these on screen like this? Is because I'm using Ecamm Live. So what comments you put in the box, I can bring up on screen if I want to. So thank you for that, Emma. I appreciate that. Let's just take that out of the way. Good. So it's low friction, easy to ask, easy to answer. Great questions are easy to ask, easy to answer. Not convoluted 3-paragraph long. They're easy questions. Next, it's action focused. It produces something you can act on or test. And here's a thought for you. This was taught to me by a good friend of mine, Jill Smith. Great idea. Thank you, Jill. The output of question 1 is very often the input of question 2. Isn't that a nice idea? I haven't got it on the slide for you. Here we go. The output of question 1 is the input, often, not always, of question 2. So that's when we're listening, and that's when we're commenting, and that's when we're asking deeper questions, because we've got to keep on asking deeper questions. Next one. Right, here's an example for you then. So you've got the idea. Let me just run back those for you. Right. So 4 things. They're purposeful, they're precise, they're low friction, and they're action focused. So here's an example. I'm going to use diagnosing for this. Remember at the front one, if I go back there, right, it was diagnose, prioritize, or confirm. So I'm going to do a diagnose question for you so you can see. Oh, Daryl, I can hear you. If you can just mute yourself, Daryl. Thank you. Right. So here we go then. So a diagnosing question. This is a generic version, not to have to personalize this. Can you tell me what impact this issue had? You see how simple that is? Can you tell me what impact this? Obviously, you'll personalize that. You know, that's the formula there for you. And then the second question, and over what period? I'm going to give you an example of this, by the way, in a moment. Right? I'll give you a clear example. So there it is. So there, imagine that then. Can you tell me what impact this issue had? Question 1. Question 2, and you comment on that, of course. You would, when the person gave you the answer, they tell you, oh, that's interesting. Tell me more. Oh, fascinating. And how did that come about? Oh, I see. And then, oh, and by the way, over what period was that? So we're getting time frame with, so we're diagnosing here. So why does that one work? Well, it's purposeful because it reveals the negative impact and uncovers whether the problem is real, recent, and significant, as you can see there. Right. So it's really great, isn't it? It's also precise because it's asking for the consequences, but not just consequences, asking for specific. And also we're trying to get a date on it. We want that concrete example. We want, was it recent, how far away, and all of those things. It was low friction. It's easy to ask. It was very conversational. It was curious. And when we are curious, it makes it easy for ask and easy for answer. And especially when we're saying, we're looking at people and say, so tell me more. Oh, so tell me, can you give me a concrete example when that happened? Oh, really? I see. Okay. And their eyes are wide open. We're interested. We're leaning forward. We're saying to people, I want to know. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to find out if I can help you. This is the difference, isn't it? Learn how to sell, stop selling, allow people to buy. And of course, it's action focused because it produces the context, the impact, the pain points. Let me give you a real world example on this. Okay. A real world example. I was dealing with a big insurance company some years ago. You would know the name. In fact, I'll tell you. Today it's called Aviva. Then it was called Norwich Union. And I was dealing with just one part of the business, and it had 300 salespeople. It was the healthcare side. And I was talking to the sales director, and I showed him my action agenda, which is part of my process for dealing with the 6-stage process. And he said to me, Peter, he said, I've been selling 20 years. That's the best thing I've seen. Can you teach my salespeople this? I said, yeah, because that's why I was there to talk about that. And I had a conversation with the national sales manager. I'll abbreviate it. You'll get the gist. His name was Steve. So listen to the process. This is the process we just went through where the diagnosing question. So tell me, Steve, how many salespeople have you got? Simple to ask, simple to answer. I knew the answer, of course, but anyway, 300 salespeople. I see. And what do you think they're losing per salesperson per month in lost sales? Now, Steve paused, so I helped him answer. And I said, is it 10,000 a month, 1,000 a month, 2,000 a month? High, low, medium. And he went, oh, it must be at least 2,000 a month. I said, okay, make a note, 2,000, 300 sales per 2,000 a month. Great. And Steve, how long has this been going on for? He paused again. I said, is it 5 years, a year, 2 years? High, low, medium? Must be at least 2 years. I said, I wonder if you've ever worked out how much that was. He said, I don't think I have to. Let's do it together. 300 salespeople, £2,000 a month is £600,000 a month. Agreed? Yes. Times 12 months, 7.2 million. Agreed? Yes. Times 2 years, 14.4 million. Yes. Tell me, Steve, do you earn commission on the sales? Sorry, did you lose commission on the sales? You know, with rapport, you can say anything, as we know. He said, I didn't realize it was that. Are your sales force reasonably stable? Yes. So if you do nothing for the next 12 months, it's likely you'll lose another 7.2 million. Wow, he said. Yes. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that. I said, yes. I said, I've got great news. He said, what's that? I said, it's not going to cost 7.2 million to solve it. I smiled, he smiled, and they paid me £250,000 to create a 10 module version of my 36 module program, the Accelerated Business Growth, and teach the trainers and teach the managers how to coach it and all the business. And then another insurance company, Standard Life, saw it and said, Peter, can you do the same for our 100 salespeople with 7 modules for 125,000? These questions work. They work. This is what I want you to do. In the chat box, I want you to do this for me. And then I'm going to tell you more a little bit about the paid up club. I'm going to take a minute amount, and then we're going to talk about how you gain agreement. Right. That's going to be the next bit. Let me just move that on the slide so you can see. We're going to go agreement. So this is what I now want from you is I want to ask you this question. Out of everything we've done in this 39 minutes, what's the one key thing you've learned because you didn't know it, or you've relearned because you did know it, you got reminded, but it's something you went, yes, Peter, I'm going to take it away and use it. In the chat box, please. Thank you. I'm just going to bring some of these up as they come up. Listen, thank you, James. Okay, Emma. Talk to people if they've already said yes. Ask, listen, respond, ask. Indeed. Bring that up from Rupert. Thank you. Tell me more. Okay, that's from Giordana. Tell me more. Tell me more. And that thing. People sell themselves in their answers to your well-crafted questions. Get the other person to sell themselves. Client, not customer. Implied duty of care. Thank you. Prescription before diagnosis. Sell takes place in the gathering stage. Clarity of the pillars of credibility from Kate. Thank you, Kate. Excellent. So that was Kate with her book. That's wonderful. Okay, I know there's going to be more of those, but so I want to move on. Okay, client, not customer. Great. Output of, I'll bring that on because it's such an important one. Thank you, Roy. Right. The output of question 1 is often the input of question 2. The 5 pillars. Consider reading your book. Thank you. Okay, that's great. So moving on from here, here's the next step. So I've said that I will spend a little bit of time telling you about the Paid Up Club because I've got something I think you're going to be really pleased about this. So this is the Paid Up Club. This is what we do. We run this Paid Up Club. It is a monthly program. It's a membership program. And I'm going to tell you all about the benefits, etc. And then I'm going to say, would you like to come and try it? And I'm going to give you how that operation works. Okay. So this is what the focus is. There's one simple thing that we are focused on in the Paid Up Club. It's so simple. It couldn't be easier. We help you make £100,000 extra in the time frame that you choose. Let me go back on those, right? So we are focused. That's the number one focus, £100,000. And of course, we always think to ourselves, well, what would you do with the money? Because £100,000, it's not numbers on a computer, is it? I mean, there it is. They're the big stack of the money. It's not numbers on a computer. It's not bits of paper with pictures of dead kings and queens or even alive ones on. So we have to think, now, what about the time frame? Think of it this way. If you decide on 4 years to make 100,000 extra, it's 25,000 a year, it's about £2,000 a month extra. Do you believe I could show you a way to make £2,000 extra? The answer to that, by the way, is yes, just so we know. Of course it is. Could you do it in 3 years? Could you do it in 2 years and do 50,000, £4,000 a month extra? Yes. Could you do it in 1 year? Yes, you can, depending on your business. That's why we say we will help you make 100 grand, £100,000 extra. You choose the time frame. Remember, this is the format though. Money is the silent applause for a job well done and value delivered to others. I'm talking about money, but we're not focused on money. Money isn't outcomes, not the reason. We have a different purpose, but money is the silent applause for a job well done. So how can we help you do this? Well, before I do that, I'm just going to share something Vic Conant, he said and wrote to me. I'm very proud of this. I'm going to read it, and that presumably in that time you'll read it as well. Thank you, Vic. Lovely words. So what happens is there's 3 meetings in a month. One is with me. Obviously, Darryl and Rachel are there as well. There is only just the 3 of us. That's it. You know, we're a very tight-knit company, as you know. We're really focused. We're relational, not transactional. So this is what I do, as you gather. I help you master sales, persuasion, product creation, how to make a book, how to make audio programs, how to do masterclasses, how to do surveys. So you build a business and a life of choice. That's what it's about. Darryl, he is our AI expert. If I want to know something about computers, AI, SEO, Darryl is the man. Darryl is the man. When we get right to the end, I'm going to play you a song that Daryl created with his head and skills and AI, by the way. And it's going to knock your socks off because I've been playing it this morning before I came on here because it gets me bopping. And then so we have Daryl's session for an hour talking about AI, keeping us all up to date. And then we have a session with me, Rachel, and Daryl answering all of your questions. So this is all instant access to proven pricing and marketing strategies. And we have this vault and it's stored in there so you can access the recordings. And when you join, you also get this quick start webinar. So some key ideas you can take away and use immediately in your business. And all of them tried, tested, and proved. There's no BS here from Lectureland. You probably gather that already. Here's some things that people are saying about Daryl's session. Staying abreast of changes without expert help would be too time consuming. So Daryl does that for us. Right? Next one. I mean, there's the keywords. I've made it in red. Absolute pure golden it is. It's like having a digital twin that extends my expertise and service hours without extending my working day. Daryl's expertise in AI-driven business growth is truly unmatched. Now, to make life easy for you, what we do with everything we do, we create templates. There they are lying on the desk. So if you want to know the customer journey, there's one. If you want to know lead generation and everything else, there's that. If you want to do a webinar, we have a 2-page process on the webinar. You want to make sure you're putting your focus on the right projects, there it is. Or you want to write a book and you need a checklist. Or you want to have more persuasive emails and you want a checklist for that. Or do content creation, we do that. Or copywriting. You know, there's a great headline. How to craft magnetic headlines and make more sales without any previous marketing experience or copywriting skills. That's a formula. And we have, I was going to say hundreds, I'll change it, lots. Right, we've got lots of formulas. And to make sure you avoid copywriting mistakes, here's a great quote from Earl Nightingale. Let me read it for the recording. Don't let the fear of the time it takes to accomplish something stand in the way of you doing it. The time will pass anyway. We might just as well put that passing time to the best possible use. If you were going to send somebody an invite to a webinar, we have a formula. That's how you do it. If you're thinking of making £1 million product, there's a formula for doing that. Or you wanted to run a subscription program. So all of these things are on this one focus. How to make £100,000 extra over the time period you decide. And it begs the question, what will you do with the money? Is there something for the kids, parents, new car, new holiday, I don't know, more recognition, more feeling of significance? I mean, who knows? More for charity? We don't know. Money is the silent applause for a job well done. We know that. That's what this is about. So this is what it is. This is the Paid Up Club community and the recordings. This is the vault. Because we've got this Kajabi website and you also get this email helpline. And even better still, and this is fantastic, we've actually got an app for it. So when you're on the go and you think, oh, what was Peter talking about that? What did Daryl mean that? There, oh, let me bring myself back here, full screen. There is the app. And this is how I think of the app. So you can access the recordings, the community, you can talk to all the other members. This is what it is. It is this. It's 1,000 profit ideas in your pocket. 1,000 profit ideas in your pocket, available at any time you think, oh, how can I do that? Well, if you want to know how to do it and you need a bit more help, we've also got this. We've got a GPT, especially for Paid Up Club members, called Your Paid Partner. And it's based on my book, Paid. So if you want to know how to get paid more and you want to ask questions of somebody, well, you go into the GPT. By the way, it's fantastic. I love it. And you talk to it and it'll talk back to you. And it'll give you all these ideas to make a barrel full of money. Or let's say you want to do some more marketing and you're not sure about how to write that email or that web page. Your copywriting coach. You give it the prompt, we show you how to do that, you put it in, and it generates it for you. And you just sit back and it'll work for you. For example, it's a bit small, that, so I'll lean over and read it. Over the last few days, I've been creating content for a LinkedIn campaign I'm going to be running. I've already written the content, but thought I'd push it through the copywriting coach GPT bot, see the results. Wow, the bot doesn't just rewrite, it provides solid feedback and suggestions on how it can be written to make it more engaging. I mean, it is so good. It really is good. Help me refine my message in ways I would never have thought of, both in terms of time saving. Give it a try. Oh, and by the way, we also have a yearly live event. So you can either turn up live in the room if you wish to. It's always great to do that. And we also stream it. So if you're not in the locality or in different countries, some of the members are, then you can obviously turn up for the streaming. So that's good. Oh, by the way, we also show you how to write a book because you've got to be an authority. So we give you a copy of that and the book writing templates. And once you've got that book, you can then multiply it because we know 78 ways to take the same information and multiply it so you can deliver it in different ways. You can see how this all comes together, but the complete focus is this: £100,000 extra. That's what it's all about. Does this work? Well, there's two chemists who sold up their chemist shops and decided to teach chemists. As you can see at the bottom there, we've also created our monthly membership program with the deluxe version, which we often talk about, and it's working well. And we have two £1 million products. Right. Paul Allen does leadership training. I told him to double his fees, showed him how to do it. He did, and it works. Here's one. This is a bit small. I'm going to make it bigger for you. This is Sylvia Snowling from SDLT Claims, right? Very clever woman. She said this. Turnover before I met Peter, 79,000. 1 year later, 267,000. And in the second year, 384,000. And that was implementing just one suggestion. Steve Neal, the poster boy for this. Wow, here we go. Additional profit over 100,000. And now got a video program. So I'm showing him how to make an online program, the Olympic Performance System. 250,000 in just 1 year. And now it's in 40 countries, generate over 1 million direct sales and blended learning. Mark's an accountant, we'll complete 100,000, you can see. Koshi, who runs a training business for radiologists. So this is for all sorts of people. 4,000 a month is 25 months to do the 100,000. And funny enough, Guy, who's a financial architect, isn't that lovely? Same idea. So how can we do this for you? Well, we have a system where me, Rachel and Daryl work with you. We become your team, and that's our Encompass program, and that's from 5,000 a month onwards and upwards. And if it's something you're interested in, let Rachel know. We'll set up a conversation. We'll have a conversation together. That's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about the Paid Up Club. So membership of the Paid Up Club is going to be, but it's not now, 197. It is actually only £97 a month. However, it's not that. I want you to try it for £1. Right? You can try it for £1. But here's the deal. How do you know if it's for you? Well, this is the way I think about it. A friend of mine was chatting to me about this. And they'd said to somebody that they'd been on holiday to Barbados. And they said, oh, fantastic, you didn't send me a postcard. And they'd said to them, if I sent you a postcard, would it be the same as going to Barbados? And they went, well, no, of course it wouldn't. Well, but that's what it's like with the Paid Up Club. I've just sent you the postcard, but it's not the same. It's not the same as being there. So what I want you to do, I want you to come and experience them. This is why. You said this is who you are. You signed up for the masterclass. That was step one. You turned up for the masterclass. That's the deal, because 80% of success is turning up. And then step three is this. You then discover if Paid Up Club is for you. And how do you do that? Well, you secure your membership ever so easily, because you pay £1. £1, you get complete. We treat you a complete member. You know, some trial thing here. You are a complete member for a month, and then it automatically goes on to £97 a month plus VAT, because the government need their share. And by the way, you can stay for as long or as short as you like. You're not tied into anything. You only stay while it is value to you. So you can tell the sort of people you're going to be mixing with, can't you? You understand that deal. So this is how you join that bit. And then when we finish this bit, I'm going to show you how to gain agreement from people. So there's a QR code. Rachel has put the link in the chat box as well. I won't bring it up yet. I'll bring it up later. So you've got the idea. So it's 3 sessions. I think Rachel's put that in as well. 3 sessions, hour and a half with me, hour with Daryl, hour with me, Rachel and Daryl every month, over different days, obviously. And or put in the diary so you know exactly what. So you can click that link, the bit.ly link there, or click the link in the box, or use that QR code. Pay your £1. That's all you pay. That's it. Come and experience it. Come and experience it. You get a whole month. You can go into the vault. You can get the templates. You can interact with the other members. You can join in everything for it's £1. Would you trust me for £1? I would have thought so. So let's talk now about agreement. We already know what that difference is, don't we? It's people's ability to persuade. Here's what happens and stops people getting too many agreements. Resistance is created through a lack of clarity. We have to be crystal clear. How do we do that? We have to answer these 4 questions. 4-stage persuasion framework. Here they come. First question is this: why you? When we are communicating with somebody, we need to tell them quite clearly why what we've got to talk about is for them. They have to know that first, because otherwise they're going, well, what is this for me? No, this is spam. I don't want it. No, you've got to tell people right up the front why it's for you. Secondly, why me? That links back, doesn't it, to all the things we were talking about, credibility. Why should you listen to me? We need to say that before we talk about what it is. Why you, why me? Next, then we talk about what it is. So why this? And then if this is appropriate, why now? So isn't that simple? So simple. Let me come back to me for a moment. It's why you, why me, why this, why now? Why you, why me, why this, why now? That's how I make videos. If I'm doing a promotional video for something we're doing, that what I do is I switch the camera on. I do the prep first, obviously, but really all I'm doing is I'm doing 4 paragraphs. Why this is for you, why you should be me, why it should be this, and why it should be now. Why you, why me, why this, why now. Isn't that wonderful? So here's one of the problems that comes in about why people don't get the agreements they should get. By the way, I'm going to do the prize draw and I'm going to do the questions at the end, even if I run over. I'm not doing anything for, I think it's the next 5 hours. So, I've got 5 hours spare. I'm not staying that long, but okay. So here we are. Here's the problems. Here's the main problem. These are 3 signposts of success, A, B, and C. I've worked this out from helping so many people and seeing so many people struggle at times before that help, obviously. The first thing, the C, is it stands for confidence. We must have the confidence to talk about what it is we do. We must talk about it with confidence. We have to be confident and we must talk about it with confidence. Why? Because we are transferring that confidence to somebody else. And because we've talked about this morning about that credibility stuff based on there as well. We must have next belief, the B. We must have belief in the efficacy of our product and service. It must do what we say it does. It must live up to the promise. It's so important, isn't it? So really, when we're communicating, we're doing 3 Ps: the person, the problem, and the promise. This is who it's for. If you've got this problem, I promise I can fix it. The person, the problem, and the promise, the 3 Ps. That's how you write titles for books, by the way. The 3 Ps: the person, the problem, and the promise. Now, belief. Unfortunately, this friend of mine died a few years ago, but he said this, I thought it was wonderful. Most people reach the limit of their belief well before they reach the limit of their talent. And this is the beauty of being part of the Paid Up Club. You are with others who believe. And it's the old expression, isn't it? You can't fly with the eagles if you work with the turkeys. You've got to be with the eagles. You've got to be people with the flying, the people who are going for it. Just imagine that feeling. Right? We're all going there together. We're helping each other. So most people reach the limit of their belief well before they reach the limit of their talent. And the A, if we had a bit more time, I'd ask you what you thought the A was, and people would say, they would say it would be attitude, it would be action, all such things. But it's really this one. And this is why a lot of things don't work in life. So please take this away, and it's alignment. What do I mean by that? It means you've got to be doing something that's aligned with your identity. So those 3, the CBA, rather the ABC, or the ABC is alignment, belief, and confidence. And here's why the alignment's important, because of this expression I wrote this years ago. People will never consistently do who they aren't. So unless you're acting in alignment with who you are, because people will consistently do who they are, then it won't work. We've got to be acting in accord with who we are, because people will consistently do who they are. So that's the one problem. The next problem in gaining agreement is this: people have a fear of rejection, thinking the rejection is them rather than the idea. So it's separating those 2 in our minds. Or they don't know the words to use with confidence. Or if they know the words, they haven't practiced the words. And practice is so important, because here's why. Amateurs practice till they get it right, and professionals practice till they can't get it wrong. Let me go back on that slide for you. Amateurs practice till they get it right. Professionals practice till they can't get it wrong. This is one of the most important things I'm now going to share with you of the whole time we've had together. And I'll do it fairly quickly because I want to get to prize draw, and I understand people have got things to go to as well. So magic formula. Take a screen grab of this next slide, because this, I believe, will make you a fortune. Or let me say can, in case you take action with it. You sell price using the contrast between the financial and emotional cost of the current and or future situation compared with the investment in your solution. That's how you sell your fee rate. You sell price, fees, whatever it happens to be there, using the contrast between the financial and emotional cost of the current situation or future situation compared with the investment in your solution. However, this is true. Without contrast, everything's expensive or cheap, and you don't know which it is. Therefore, you have to take control of the financial thinking of the other person. We talked about this earlier. It's what you say before you say what you mean to say. That's exactly the same. This is how you create the contrast. But then it becomes, what can we contrast to? Well, we can contrast to different ways of doing it. We can find more expensive ways of finding the information that we know. For example, the years it would have to take someone to find out for themselves. Yeah. I was with one of my clients yesterday. I have 280 salespeople, and I've just completely rewritten the sales process for them. And I was with the regional managers, and they said, Peter, but we don't have your knowledge. We can't deliver that. I said, no, I'm going to give you a version you can deliver. That doesn't mean you don't need me in the room. Or I'll create video versions so you play the video and then you facilitate that. Right? Because this is it. What can we contrast to? Right? We've got to contrast to something. Well, it could be time to do it. It could be a more expensive way of doing it or a less effective way of doing it. Time, money, effort. Those are the things we contrast to. Let me do the prize draw. Here it comes. I'm going to do this prize draw. Right. I am going to do so. I'm going to get my phone here, and I've got here a random. I've got a random letter generator. So when I hit that button in the middle, it's going to come up with a letter. If this letter is your first name, the beginning letter of your first name, not surname, and you put your name in the chat box before anybody else, you win. Just so you know, because we've had this in the past. Subject to where you are in the country or the world, you might put it in first, but it won't appear first. I can't do anything about that. It's whatever appears first in my chat box. I'm looking at it at the moment. Okay. So, you know, I'm honest about it. I'll tell you exactly what it is. So here comes the letter. First name, get poised, hope you're ready. And it is H. So the first person with their first name, H. Oh, no, Rachel already got it. Howard Kent. Howard Kent, you are today's winner. Come on down. Well done. And wonderful. Okay, David, no, it doesn't work because your surname begins with H and you put your first name in. It's got to be your first name begins with the same letter, but thank you. So, Howard, you are the winner. Let me just do this. Something else keeps popping up. I'll just get rid of this and we'll do these 5 minutes because I want to do the questions for you. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, we'll ignore that. Woof, so that was the prize draw. Wasn't that quick and easy? So Paid Up Club, we're going to get into question time in a moment. But before we do that, in case you've got to go off, remember, charter membership is just £1 for 1 month. And all you need to do is to go to that bit there, either QR code or that link, or Rachel put it, okay? There's the link for in the chat box there. In fact, let me bring it on screen for you. Right, Rachel's put it there, so I can bring that. So if I came back to me, right, so I just come back to me for a moment. There it is. There's the link there, so you can go there. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, David. Thank you for these kind comments. So let me just get rid of that again. So what we're going to do then now, I'm going to do question time, which is here. And let me get rid of Rachel's comment. Sorry. There it is. Question. Oh, get rid of it again. Thank you. So I'm going to do question time. Gosh, I've gone all warm now because we've bopping around for about an hour. It's getting warm in my office, even though I haven't got the heating on. So we're going to do question time, which is this. I'm going to take that screen off, come back to me. If you've got any questions, please put them in the chat box. I'm just going to look in my iPad because I got all the questions and I made some comments so I could answer them for you. So I'm going to whiz these. I'll just stay for whatever it's going to take. Might take 5 or 10 minutes. If you've got to go, I understand totally. And again, let me urge you, you trust me, you will love it. Come and join me in the Paid Up Club. Come and join me, Rachel and Daryl, and we will just have the most amazing time together. Okay, excellent, good. I will show you how to do all of those things so you can make £100,000 extra in the time period you decide on. Good. There is one of my clients in here, I won't say the name because it wouldn't be right of me, who actually, I think the number was 107,000 booked in for the first year of doing things with me. Here we go then. Charlie said, how do you handle resistance to a request? I've got these questions here, by the way. So I'm just going to go through these. So let me do this. So Charlie says, how do you handle resistance to a request? And I've got this as my answer. It's created by what you did or didn't say before we got to that point, rather than what happens at the point. So this is the whole problem, is this is why you use why you, why me, why this, why now, and testimonials before you get to the point of resistance, because you will diminish the likelihood of the resistance if you do it in this way. Frank said, how to gain confidence immediately, reassuring the reader of your email you'll follow through with a solution. Again, this is why you, why me, why this, why now? And this is the 5 pillars of credibility we've done today, or believability. Malcolm Harris says, what is the most cost-effective way to publish an authority book? I would say self-published. Self-published, Create Space, something like that. Amazon. I mean, these days, a book of this type, they get these type of things. Some of mine here. Oh, there's a book I wrote some years ago. This is a book with no title. Isn't that a great title for a book? Then How to Write Your Book. That's that one. That was said 10 weeks. Used to say 5 days, but how to write a book. So that's about printed about £2.50 to £3. And this one's colour, by the way. This one's colour inside. Okay. This one, Persuasion, which is one of mine, yeah, this is black and white inside. Again, about £2.50-ish, £3. I think the Time Management is Dead one, which is this one, is a bit more because it's a bit thicker, right? So this is thicker. It's got more pages in, about 130 pages in black and white. It's probably in the sort of £3. That's the Time Management is Dead, the latest one. And paid, this is like 260 pages or something. This is the thicker one. So this will be more on that case. But I would go down that route, Malcolm. I think that's really is the solution there. Then Roz, who I just saw a comment from Roz. Thank you, Roz. What's the most important thing to say and not to say when sending an email to a past client to revive them? Why them? Why now? And what is the first step? That's what we do say. What we don't say is selling them anything. We're not trying to sell them anything. We're trying to resurrect the relationship. Here's an expression for you. People come into your life for a reason, some for a lifetime, some for a season, just the way it is, right? When you talk about retention, I love these expressions. When the first leaf falls, you know, autumn has come to the world. Domino marketing works. In other words, each action knocks over the next domino. Do not try and knock over domino number 3 with domino number 1. It means you've missed a stage. You must put all the dominoes in place. Makes sense, doesn't it? John, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Lawrence, good point from Lawrence. In fact, Lawrence, I'm going to answer that in a minute or two. I'll just finish these questions that people pre-sent. Okay. Giordano Burns, how to avoid being ghosted after sending our fee proposal. I know how to do this. Always book the follow-up meeting before you send the proposal. Now, does that mean you won't get ghosted? No, it doesn't guarantee it. But most people send the proposal and then phone up to try and book the meeting to discuss the proposal. No, no, no. Get complete agreement of the date to review the proposal when you've been sent it. So, for example, if I was talking to you, I'd say, okay, Giordana, I'm going to send the proposal out to you today. I've got my diary here. The proposal not only give you answers, it'll raise some questions as well. So you'll get it tomorrow. When would be a good day for us to discuss it? So you'll tell me today. I say, great, what time of day works for you? Let me check my diary. I'm still in control here. Right. So yes, I can. Yes, I can make that date as well. Don't say, here's the date I can make. Can you make it? No. Deposition. What date have you got free? Let me see if I can make it. That's the control freak. Okay. So do it in that way. And then more likely, especially if it's close, don't book a review meeting 10 days away. They might not turn up. The closer you book the follow-up meeting to the time of the current meeting, the more likely they are to turn up. That's it. And if you really want to win, and it's possible, take it in. If you want to win, take it in. Next, Noel, how to persuade a person to talk about their personal problems and fears to build rapport. Don't talk about that. Talk about what is working to start with. Lady Abraham Rebecca, I think I've answered that today for you on the call. James, I'm not getting traction with my email campaign. What am I doing wrong? How do we get people to click or reply? Okay. There is a formula. It's this. I'm going to say it quickly because it's recorded, right? And we'll be sending you a copy of the recording. So how to write a persuasive email is either why you, why me, why this, why now. It's that one. So you can do that one. That's a good one to use. Or if not this, wavelength, interest, sell benefits, add conviction, desire, action, result. I'm not going to go into more detail. It's self-explanatory. It'll be in the recording because you'll hear me say it again. Next one, Steve Darnell. If you had to help accountants to be better able to present their proposition to a potential client, what are your top 3 tips for how to go from failure to success? Right. Really powerful intro that sets up the situation. Remember, it's what you say before you say. So the intro must tell the client why it's for them and also the outcome they're likely to get. Remember, people don't buy systems. They buy the outcome of the system. And then again, back to why you, why me, why this way now. Okay. Next one, most powerful way to prepare. Ask questions that are outwardly focused, Rupert. That's what I do. So for today, I've written my goals and signed them, and all of those goals are outwardly focused. Paul, what's the biggest mistake you can make to ruin your chance of persuading someone? I've got talk too much and don't listen. And here's another expression for you. This was said by Dr. David Fraser, who was a member of one of our mentoring groups. Great books he wrote, lovely man as well. He said this, and a friend of mine, Nick, reminded me of this recently. Don't try to get someone to join the conversation in your head. Instead, join the conversation in their head. Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that just wonderful? I love it. Okay. And Keith Binningham, what's the secret of being persuasive in print? I think it's as above that I mentioned about Wistar and why you, why me, why this, why now. I think all of those help. And my other key idea on that would be, Keith, is to write as you speak. You know, throw away the English grammar book and just write as you speak. In fact, it might not be a bad idea to dictate the letter, especially with, you know, with Word and Pages these days. It's so simple to dictate. Everybody does it so well. I think that would be great. Tim Dumas in Canada said, what's the best way I can prepare to be persuasive in an interaction? And two ideas for us is number one, outward focus, you know, be really clear, it's outward focus. And the second one is to list the gathering questions, to prepare your questions in advance. Remember, I said the selling takes place in the gathering stage as people sell themselves and their answers to your well-crafted questions. So in other words, we have to spend the time on those well-crafted questions. I've given you one today, a calibrated question. Obviously, I know loads more, which we cover in the Paid Up Club, but that's what you do. John says, when trying to persuade someone, what do you think matters more, appealing to emotions or presenting logic? I think you already know my answer. It's going to be emotions all day long. And Jan, is there a single word or phrase? Oh, you'll love this. This is a cracker. I learnt this from, who did I learn this from? Nick Calendar, I think. Please write this down. I'll tell you what this is. It's a single word or phrase that's more effective than any other. I love this as an opening. Here it comes. Tell me. That's a subtle command, by the way, because it's first person imperative. Tell me, what made you interested in me helping you to context, whatever's appropriate. So tell me, what made you interested in helping you to finally write that business book you was promised you'd write? And then sit and listen. And you listen for what somebody says after the words I want or anything that means I want. So tell me, what made you interested in me helping you to ... I think that's one of the best questions I've ever come across. Next, Paul Slattery. How do you deal with scope creep when a client thinks they might say an hour, but it takes weeks and months to resolve? Funny if I had this happen recently with a client, and the way I deal with corporates is it's a retainer. So they pay me X a month and I'm available. Now, obviously only available for a certain amount of time, but it's pretty flexible because I want to give my best. But I'd started with the client based on a particular retainer fee. And within a few days, I think, probably I had a meeting within 3 weeks and said, hang on a minute, a lot of people are contacting me. This is going to be double. And the client said to me, oh, so if it's double, is it double the fee? I said, yes, because it is, because that was fair. And in fact, honestly, I'm spending a lot more time than that, but that's who I am and I love to do it. And the people are lovely people to deal with. So I think you've just got to be upfront about it and say, this is where it is. And reasonable people will deal with that. Yeah. But, you know, the thing is, you only want to deal with relational clients and not transactional customers anyway. And with relational clients, they treat you as the expert, and money, the fee, is one factor. It's not the factor. So relational clients, I think, is the thing. And then I think we had a final question, which was, how do I begin in terms of body language and verbal language? I would, simple comment really, but make sure they match. Oh, David Fraser, he's there. Oh, didn't know that. David, thank you. David Fraser, the person I was talking about with that question about entering in their mind, there it is. Funny if I was going to send you an email this week because I was chatting to Nick, David. Forgive me going in a private conversation, but David, send me an email. Let's get together. I'd love to have a conversation with you. So we've come to the end of it all. Let me just do this bit here, which is, there we go, which is that. And obviously there's the £1 deal and there is the details. But if you have any other questions, well, you've still got me here for the moment before you join me in the Paid Up Club, obviously. If just put your questions in the chat box. Oh, there's Rachel's put that. Yes, Rach. Right, okay. I learnt this from Napoleon Hill. He didn't know he taught it me, but he did, he did teach it me. Is I'll say it clearly as an expression because you gather I like expressions. It's this: put the credibility on your content until you've got the testimonials, and then that credibility of content moves to you over time. It is a time thing, but if you put the credibility on the content, and then it'll transfer itself to you. So, for example, Napoleon Hill, who you know wrote Think and Grow Rich, he was a reporter and he went round and interviewed people and got their information, put it in a book, and commented on it. It's not his information; it's the information he gathered from them. They were saying this is how you get rich. And then he commented on it. We think it's now his ideas because that credibility has gone to him. And now he's died. There's the Napoleon Hill Foundation. And it's wonderful, although I'm not criticizing. It's fantastic. But to start with, if you don't have the testimonials yet, put the credibility on the content, make the credibility the star. And then as soon as you've done one piece of work, get a testimonial. In fact, make it a rule. You get testimonials from everybody. And when should you ask? Because you're new, ask when they're happy. They might be happy because they met you. They might be happy because you in the meeting gave them a good idea. In which case, you put the credibility on the content, ask for a testimonial on that content, and then on you. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Yeah. Good. All right. Malcolm. Oh, Malcolm says this. How do I love to hear you speak? Thank you. How do you manage to present without using? Oh, hang on. Let me bring that back up. Click, click. Thank you. Oh, it's gone crazy small. Oh dear. Hang on. Okay. I must have just clicked in the middle. Let me make it a bit bigger. Here we go. Fortunately, I can do this live. It's good, isn't it? How do I manage to present without using pausing noises, ums, are, sort of like basically, etc. Well, the one word is practice, but it's also because I have a technique. And the technique is called dynamic listening. And dynamic listening is when you listen to your own voice rather than simply hearing the noise of your voice. So as I'm speaking, now it is subconsciously competent, by the way, obviously, because I've done it for a long time. When I'm speaking, I'm listening to what I'm saying. I'll give you a little expression and it'll make it all come true. Write out loud. If you were writing an email to me, or if I'd written this content to you, I wouldn't put any ums and ers in. I wouldn't say, hi, everybody. I'm delighted to be with you sort of today and absolutely have a situation where, I wouldn't use that rubbish, would I? I would write it and there would no be ums, ers, or any of those filler words that rob our speech of power, persuasion, and passion. I would write it out. So all I need to do is to write out loud. And if I feel that, sort of basically coming along, I do what I would do in writing. I put a gap between the words. In writing, it's a space. In speaking, it's silence. And as long as you don't leave a gap that's too long, nobody's going to notice. Perhaps that was a fraction long, but you've got the idea. So all I'm doing is I'm putting gaps in between the words. It's silence instead of white bits of paper. There's more to it than that, but you've got the gist of it. That's how that happens. Okay, Lawrence. Yes, I was just going to bring it on screen. Lawrence, small note about the question above. I asked about books written by AI. Yes, okay, thank you, Lawrence. Yes, okay, AI. You have flagged a really important point. There is going to be a proliferation. There's going to be, what's the word that's overused these days instead of abundance? Plethora. People use the word plethora, which means an overabundance. They tend to use it to mean abundance. It's not, it's overabundance. We're just going to have to cope with that. And I think the day will come when people won't be able to tell the difference. It's pretty darn close now that you can't tell the difference, even with pictures, icons, images. Those who really know can tell, but it's going to come to the point where we can't tell. And maybe it's going to be my AI agent is talking to your AI agent, or your AI agent is reading the book that my AI agent wrote for you. I don't know, Lawrence. I just don't know where it's going to go. All I know is that I believe that we should put out our own content. Can there be AI help? Yes, of course. Of course there is. So we want, in fact, I've got a quote on my slide somewhere. Let me see if I can just find this. Yes, here it is. The greatest value comes, can you see this? Yes, you can. The greatest value comes not from surrendering control entirely to AI or clinging to entirely human workflows, but finding the right point of collaboration for each specific task. And that was from Ethan Mollick, who's a professor of management at Wharton, specializing in entrepreneurism and innovation. So I think that's an important point, but I don't know the answer. I think we just keep doing the best we can do and making it clear that we wrote it. I'm happy to say I use AI, very happy to say I use AI every day, and it does help me. But it's my stuff and my content, my ideas, and a variation of my ideas helped by AI. So I don't think I can say more than that, Lawrence. I think I'm probably on the same page as you with that. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else? What was this about dates, Rach? We're on the strategy set for the next few weeks. Oh, next live in person. No, okay, we don't know that one. Yes. If there's any other questions before I go and get coffee, I want coffee now. And we do it. I hope you've enjoyed this. Perhaps for those of you who are still here, would you do this with me? Because we can do it together, because there are quite a number of people still on the call, 120 people I see. How about if I ask you this question? Out of everything that we've done today, and haven't we done a lot in that hour, crikey, what's the one key thing you've learned because you didn't know it, or you've relearned it because you did know it, you got reminded either by me or a comment in the chat box, but it's something where you went, yes, Peter, I'm going to take it away and use it. Please put that in the chat box. I might even make the odd comment as we go through, just to do that. What's that key thing? Okay, James, why you, why me, why this, why now? Lovely, excellent. Thank you, James. Let me got the bit missing off the bottom. Let me make that a bit bigger. Okay. David Fraser, people don't buy systems, they buy outcomes. You already knew that, David, that's right. Rapid repeat, indeed. Well-crafted questions from Sabana. Kerrison, good morning, Kerrison. You have to be believed to be heard. So true, isn't it? And Roy, amateurs practice till they get it right. Professional practice till they can't get it wrong. So true. Confirmation of the self-publishing route is optimal for hard copies as well as soft. Yeah, indeed. And don't send PDF. Well, there's times for PDF, but usually it's probably better to send books in the post. Let me make this a bit smaller and move it down so it's not across my face. Okay. Screw it, just do it. Okay, thank you, David. Good to be reminded, though. Yes, so true, David. So true. And I say Nick had used that quote in his new book. You know, he's just finished his book, Nick Horton. And I was reading it and I went, oh, this is a great quote. And he said, oh, and he was telling me, he commented and said it was from you. And then we had a meeting and he was telling him we were reminiscing about you on that day. So wonderful stuff. Replace myself, and Gerard, replace myself in the client position. I like it. Good, 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 good. Well, what can I say? I don't know, I'm going to get that off there. Okay, do that, move that there. Good. Okay. So Rachel says, here's the link for the £1 again. So there is the link. And obviously we've got this bit here. If I press that bit, you can see that. I'd need to move Rachel's link as well, but the link is in the chat box. Let's take that out the way. You can see that link there, and you can also see the QR code. So it's been an absolute pleasure to be with you. It's been a pleasure to see so many old friends and faces. Did I mean old faces? Of course I did. Of course I did. Wonderful to see you again. Would look forward to spending even more time. Oh, Rachel's just remind me. Darryl made this song for the Paid Up Club. Listen to this. Please listen through to the chorus. It gets me going. Right. Trying to give him credit. Yeah. Yes, good point. And just before I do, this is a really good point. Thank you, Patel. Which is this? I'll make this a bit bigger so you can read. Okay. So it did start with Andrew Carnegie, you're right, from Bethlehem Steel. He interviewed the rich people in the world, worst class referrals from Andrew Carnegie, and worked 20 years without pay for the rich man in the world and gave him credit for those world-class people, and the rest is history. So true. Nicely said. Thank you very much indeed. So here comes the song.
It starts with a question, not the plan. A spark between a dream and a hand. We've built too much to stand still now. Every thought's a seed, we just know how. Peter sets the tone, the room ignites. Daryl flips the switch, the crowd takes flight. Rachel brings the balance, sharp and kind. A rhythm that rewires the mind. From mindset to market, the tools all align. AI in motion, the future in time. We are the Paid Up Club. We don't wait to grow, we learn the game, then we make it our own. We are the Paid Up Club. Ideas that move, smart hearts, strong minds. That's our groove. We are the Paid Up Club. It's more than a name, it's a code, it's a call, and it's a state, it's a flame.
Isn't that just amazing? Isn't it? Isn't that? I mean, Daryl's a musician, so obviously he's done that, but he's used AI to do it. But it's his skill, both as a musician and with AI.
AI whispers there's more to find. Market meets the curious mind. Sales feel simple when it's clear. Growth feels closer every year. We don't chase trends, we shape the frame. This is legacy with a modern day. We are the paid up club. We don't wait to grow, we learn the game, then we make it our own.
Wonderful stuff. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Daryl. I just love it to bits. When I go to bed, I can't get that song out of my head. I play it so often during the day. Everybody, it's been fantastic to be with you. It's been wonderful to have this opportunity to share with you all of these tried and tested and proven ideas. And I'm looking forward to more time together. Thank you for being here. Thank you for turning up. Thank you for joining in and being in everything. It's a real pleasure. It makes it so worthwhile for me, for Rachel and Daryl. Thank you, Rach, for coping with everything. And I will look forward to seeing you, if it's right for you, in the Paid Up Club. Have a wonderful day. Let's go out there and change the world. See you guys. Bye-bye for now. Oof.